What's up, Collins Connection? This week I have a very special guest, my girl Randa Dehaan. She works at A&M Mortgage, and she's probably one of the hardest working loan officers I know. She has started a book club for collaborating women in business together, and she's just a freaking stud. You're going to learn a lot, so check it out. All right, what's up, Collins Connection? I got my girl Randa. Welcome to the freaking show. I'm so excited to have you on here, even though we've been kicking around a couple dates. So I know and love you, but please introduce yourself. Give us the elevator speech. Who is Randa?
Yeah, wow, so happy to be here. I started in real estate like 2.5 years ago, as an assistant, and then got my license a little over 2 years, or just coming on 2 years now. But San Diego native, born and raised. I know we're
Ooh.
rare here. I feel like there's so many people from other states and whatnot, but um,
Transplants.
yeah, exactly. Military.
Oh, I was born here. Girl, I got my La Jolla birth certificate, everything.
Hell yeah, yeah. Born and raised. I'm a dog mom, a French bulldog. I love relationships with people. That's honestly what drew me to real estate, is just like diving in deeper with people and helping and kind of creating a voice for clients and for realtors. So, yeah, that's kind of a little bit about me. Love to work out, love to be outside, love to be by the beach.
What mortgage company do you work for? Let everybody know.
Yeah, so I work for A&N Mortgage. We are based in Chicago, but we're
Hmm.
licensed in 21 states, so kind of all over the map.
All over the map. Yeah, San Diego native has some weird affliction with Chicago. I don't know any other San Diego native that likes Chicago as much as you and Brianna does, but weird, cold, shitty, hate Chicago.
I mean, it's not the cold that I like. It's more just the layout of the city is so cool. It looks like a Lego setup. Like the
I always, I
water
always
running
think,
through the buildings and
I always think of like Gotham, like Batman. I'm
yeah.
like, I swear this is Batman. I
Well,
don't
they
know.
filmed it there.
Oh, no wonder, because I was like,
Yeah.
that looks like
They
Gotham.
literally filmed it there. So like there's a scene, yeah, they make that known.
All right. So besides your weird affliction with Chicago, gross. But talk a little bit about your connectivity stuff, your book club, your women's book club, and how you're
Yeah.
a big collaborator. I don't think people too often, and I guess foreshadowing. Too often in real estate, the people don't do the work that you do to collaborate and bring people together and provide value. So talk a little bit about that stuff and let them know. Let them know.
Yeah, I feel like let them know. I feel like it took me like a couple months for it to click that like people aren't just gonna do business with you. You have to provide value, and it took me a little bit to learn like what my value is to bring. And I think collaboration and just yeah, being creative and like bringing people together and hearing different perspectives and stuff is kind of my strength. So I started a women in business book club. So it's for all industries. And we meet once a month. We focus on like business building, brand building, personal growth, different like negotiation skills, things that we can implement into our business. And it's cool to have it be different industries and not just real estate because, I mean, the basics of just business and growing together are the same no matter what industry you're in. So it's cool to hear different perspectives in other industries as I'm building a real estate business. So, yeah,
And real estate, most lenders and realtors are shitty business people. So yeah,
right.
it can't
Yeah,
be
like a
the
lot of
baseline.
people know how to be a realtor or a lender, but they don't know how to scale or like the business side of it or building a brand too. That's what I see a lot. And so, yeah, so that's kind of been so I do the book club, and then I'm actually rolling out just like an education piece for real estate agents that's going to be once a month just to better educate people that are serving our community, right? Like in different aspects, whether it's about, you know, different parts of the city or different laws around San Diego that they can implement in their business or educate their clients, or even different things like I even do like an online mastermind to educate on around like credit repair or what goes into the loan process, just so that people have an understanding of what they're educating their clients on or the process that they're going through themselves.
Awesome. So you open it to you're doing all realtor stuff after me crying over and over and over that I wasn't invited to these women's clubs and being
Exactly,
all pissed
exactly.
off.
I decided to broaden the the audience.
After me hate texting you so many times like this is some bullshit. I can't go to this women only
I
group.
was like, all
You can
right.
and then out of pity, like Ian, you can come. I ain't gonna be the only dude there. Hell no, I'm not showing up.
I
Hell
actually,
nah.
okay, so it is funny because I feel like there's a lot of like women in business or women in real estate or women groups. But like I've found, even though I'm the one that started it, I've found so much value in this book club that I'm like, I do kind of maybe want to start one that's just a business book club and have it
Mm.
be, because obviously the conversation with just women is different,
Oh, only imagine.
and we get deep. Yeah, we get deep there, you know, but I think some male perspective, some male business perspective could be great.
That's what she said. That's what she.
I was wondering when the first that's what she said joke was going to come in on here.
Oh, I had to. I was like, oh god, she's setting me up. She
That was
knows what channel she's on. She's setting me up.
that was too easy. I threw that
Too
one
easy.
to you. Yeah.
Oh my
You just hit
god.
it right back.
Okay, okay. But just to double down this, for people that don't know that most lenders don't do this. Most people don't put in this type of effort, and I think it's huge for people to understand that you're doing a lot of work. You're hitting the ground running, providing 10 times more value than people that have been in the industry 10 times longer than you. And I think that is, and I've told you this all the time, like this is the future killer right here of San Diego real estate market. I mean, I guess loans. You guys do it all over the place,
Yeah.
weirdos.
Half
But
the
that is awesome.
country.
Yeah, yeah. But that is so. I mean, granted, I would definitely put your heels in here since our home
Oh
prices are
yeah.
so high. The kind of, but I think that's awesome, and I just want to double, triple down on that, like the collaboration piece and providing value. That's something that lenders don't normally do. What they do is sit behind at their desk and just answer phone
Right.
calls all day. Dumb. But tell a little bit about your background, your marketing background, all that kind of stuff, education, all that stuff. Give them a little bit of
Yeah.
a you.
Yeah. So I went to, well, so I've been in the financial industry for over 7 years now. So before getting into mortgages, I worked at Wells Fargo for almost 5 years. So I got a really good understanding around like how credit works, ways to improve credit, different saving strategies, even just like the financial lingo that goes into the mortgage world.
Definitely.
So I have a lot of experience in terms of finances and customer service, but then I also went to school. I have my associate's degree in communications and marketing.
Awesome.
And I wanted, so my original plan before 2020 was to transfer into San Diego State, get my communications degree there. I wanted to do something along the lines of like event planning or something like that, which is fun because
So
I kind of
yeah,
am.
sounds fun.
Yeah, I get to do that now though with like different client appreciation stuff or even like my book club or different things like that. So,
Yeah.
um, but
And
then,
there's more return on that. There's more return on that investment than
oh
just getting
yeah,
paid to set a party.
100%. And it's more fulfilling, like helping, like meeting clients and helping people figure out their finances and a financial strategy that's going to actually like change their lives is really cool. Like that's like a really
Yeah.
cool job to have. So, but yeah, so I was going to transfer into San Diego State and then COVID happened. So I was like, I don't want to do online classes and pay state tuition fees. So I just hung
Sucks.
tight, stayed at Wells Fargo. And then I had a family friend that was in the mortgage industry basically say he needed an assistant because rates were booming at that time. So he was super busy. So I started as his assistant and I helped him with business development stuff. So I helped him with different marketing strategies, even just like small things like sending clients birthday cards or little things like that.
Mm.
And then basically I ended up getting my own license and making the switch to the company I'm with now. And with them, I have a business development role and I'm a loan officer. So that's taught me a lot in terms of just like getting creative in ways on getting business and marketing and partnering with other industry professionals. And yeah,
I think it's quite important too. Like, people that got in at the good time, pre 2007, 8, or, all that, like, or back in 2021, 2022, where rates were 1%, a handshake and six pack, and you can buy a house. But this, when you're in the market now where it's difficult, right? It's hard on people. Having a 7.5% mortgage is the rate is hard.
yeah,
And when you come into the industry at this moment where you're having to truly help people and find solutions, when the market goes back to 3% or whatever it goes back to, it's too easy because you've already been through
right.
the suck. And this is the
Yeah,
suck.
I actually am not. I mean, there's definitely days where I'm like, oh, it would be so nice if I started back then and made a ton of money and like all this stuff. But I'm actually really thankful for the time that because one,
Mm-hmm.
not only is it like if I can help people buy houses in a market like this, of course I can help them buy houses in a better one. But it's also given me the opportunity to really make those good connections, whether it's like home warranty or like inspection or appraiser, like put together my whole list of people and to really nail in my processes. So like when it is a slower time, I'm able to make sure that things are gonna get through once it picks up again. So
And on the inverse, you start when it's just, a gold rush and everybody and their mother is trying to buy a house because interest rates are ridiculous. You don't build those good baseline of
right,
foundation of
I feel like you're
businesses.
just like taking it and and then you have to learn those
Bad
systems
habits,
later. Yeah.
and you get a bunch of bad habits, and now you're going to be an old dog, and now you have to redo. When I first started in 2009, it was just after like the largest crash, you know what I mean? And it was weird. Like, there wasn't really even listing agents. It was
Right.
just like, I think there's four listing agents total. I was in the North Bay. I think there's four agents total that all had connections with the bank, but it wasn't really like a true, like how it is today. If you
Well, because
didn't
it
dot
was
an
a lot
I,
of
cross a
foreclosure
T,
stuff, right?
all foreclosures and
Yeah,
short
so
sales.
it's
That was
like
it.
not even a typical listing. It was like this
Nope.
house is going into foreclosure.
And the banks don't mess around. Like, they're not designed to hold inventory like assets like that. You don't dot your I's, cross your T's, or do a good contract. Boom. They don't even look at you. Even if it's the highest, they don't give a shit. They're like, boom,
Yeah.
done. And now, you come down here. Now it's getting, it was hot for a hot minute and then slowed down, whatever. But people weren't even putting the right names on a if I didn't put the right name on an RPA, on a purchase agreement, it wouldn't even get looked at.
Yeah.
They would just be like, nope, sorry.
Yeah.
So it builds good habits. Being in a place now where you have to find solutions versus just like, oh, you want a loan? Oh, you want a loan? Oh, you want a house? Oh, you want a house? That's easy.
Yeah, I feel like it's allowed me to learn a lot of our different because at A&N Mortgage, we're a bank and a broker. So we have direct lending, like our own in-house programs, but then we also can broker out to like 35 other wholesale investor banks.
That's
So
awesome.
there's a lot of creative financing in those. So in a market like this where creative financing is needed, it's allowed me to learn those programs versus like if it's super busy and all I'm getting is like conventional financing, really, or FHA or VA, I'm not learning the bank statement deals and the renovation loans and even like temporary buy downs. Like all of that is so relevant in this market
Mm-hmm.
that I'm able to learn it at the beginning rather than, like you said, only learning the basic stuff or creating those bad habits and then having to go back a year or two later and learn it.
And you're dialed in, right? You're trying to find a way to get to yes for your clients.
Right.
Whereas before, it was just like, oh, you're approved. Oh, I don't care. You're not. You're disapproved. Next. Now
Yeah.
it's like, okay, how do we get to yes? How do we get you to your home,
I
and
also
create all
feel
those
like
creative ways?
Yeah, I also feel like it allowed me to just work on the mindset around like you do what's best for the client, even if it's not a deal right now. Like, let's set them on a plan for 6 months, a year from now. Or even if for some reason what I have isn't the best to offer, again, I've made connections where I can refer people, and that's okay because that's what's best for that person, and I can get business elsewhere or help somebody else.
Anywhere.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And this is the thing that I remember I told you and Brietta this, right? It's all these agents and lenders. It's business is a bell curve, right? You have 10%. I want to buy right now. 10%. Screw you, never. 80% is in the next 6, 9, 12 months.
Yeah.
But most realtors and lenders don't go after that. They want the now money. But when
Mm-hmm.
you invest in people and you're like, hey, this is how we get you on a path to this, and you invest that time, people feel, I mean, rightfully so, they feel more invested and they have a better experience.
Well,
And if more
taken care of.
agents,
Yeah,
exactly.
and they trust you because you're not just trying. I've had clients come to me and be like, I was working with this lender and he was trying to push me into buying now and all this stuff. And it's listening. You have to listen to people and what they want and what their concerns are and all of that.
And
It's
what's best for them,
yeah,
not your paycheck. And I
yeah.
think that's a big reason, and one of the reasons I wanted you on here too is because you inherently care about your clients. Where a lot of people look at it as transaction, and you can see by the way this NAR lawsuits and all this chaos is going on that it's prevalent in our industry where people care about their paychecks over the client's best interests,
The
which
commission
is
breath
ridiculous.
is real.
You see all my shit. Yeah, commission. Like, hey, come on, man. It's a great time to buy. It's a great time to sell. Can I do something? Come on, man. Like, it's like, bro, relax. And
Relax. Because here's
take a
the
chill
thing
pill.
is when you're doing it that way and you're just truly doing what's best for people, you will get the clients that do want to buy right now. Like that will inevitably come, whether it's through referrals, through the people that you're helping buy a year from now, or if it's like if you just stay moving and stay meeting people, you will get the right now business, but you're
Mhm.
also okay with waiting. It's delayed gratification for a long-term result, right?
Exactly, and it's like the mind says these realtors because they're car salesmen, bottle service girls trying to do this is they want the now money.
The
You know what
bottle
I mean?
service girl.
You knew. Hey, you always on brand, Randy. You already know.
Always on
You
brand.
know.
I expect
Oh.
nothing less.
But you have these people that are thinking they're selling trinkets and shit, and they want the now money. And what they do is they scorch the earth and scorch the future relationship with this person. And I try to tell these agents that hit me because I get hit up by agents all across the nation. Like, oh, how do you do marketing? How do you do this? Be a good person.
Yeah.
Care about the other person, and that means not just trying to get them to close. Because if I'm constantly push you, like, you need to sell your home now, you need to buy a home now, you do all this, you don't have a good experience, you don't trust me because you can tell I'm being shady, and then why would you refer anybody to me? So
Right.
these agents have that mindset of like, let's get paid now. Coffee is for closers. Like stupid shit. And
Yeah.
they want to get the deal now and sacrifice all, like you said, all the future business that comes from treating somebody like you would treat someone you care about.
Your
It's,
family. Yeah. Like, would you
it's
put your mom in this situation or would, like, it's just, there was a quote that I read that was like, the best way to act like you care about people is to actually care about them.
facts. Like
Period.
golden rule. Like,
Yeah.
what do you do? Like, would you buy this house?
Yeah.
Would you advise yourself or your mother or your loved one to do this?
Well, and like
No.
that's the thing with like, okay, the big talk recently on the loan side is that Dream for All, like down payment assistance that California is giving, which like that's a great program for some people or people that are willing to take some risk later on.
Mm,
But there's
big
a
risk.
lot of people that like so many people were just blasting that on social media, like sign up for this, sign up for this, sign up for this. And I'm like, this might not be the best thing. Like, why are we pushing this program where it's not relevant for everybody and it might not be the best? Like, it might be better for someone to wait or put a lower down payment than 20% that California is gonna like. It's just yeah,
Yeah, you know how I feel about that. Like people try to take news or whatever and they try to switch or the thing that I hate, which you kind of touched on, they use the broad brush. Like sure, the dreams for all can work for a slight few people that really need it, but people need to be educated in the fact of what they're sacrificing. 20% share of your equity is a big amount.
that's
Like,
a big amount.
and they need education, but what these realtors and lenders are doing is they're using it as kind of like clickbait, and
Right.
they're baiting people in, which is not a wholesome, honorable way to market your business anyways. You all of a sudden now get this person who doesn't really know what they're doing. They're like, oh, I get help with a down payment. And once again, like we talked about earlier, you screw them over in the next 20
Right.
years. They go to sell their house. Like, wait, Randy, you didn't tell me that I had to pay back percentage of my equity too. Like, now I'm broke again. It didn't
Well,
help
and
me.
it's like, of course we know that real estate goes up over time, always. Like even if it dips, it will go up over time if you hold it. But it's like life happens, different situations happens. Let's say the market doesn't appreciate like we hope it does. Then what? So it's just
Mm.
thinking about those things, and I think a lot of people again just want to bring in the business and not actually think about the long term, how it can affect somebody, and it's
Yeah, it's
important.
shitty. So
Yeah.
how I try to frame it to people, the California, because people ask, right? Because it's
Yeah.
trendy and
It's hot
stupid
news
stuff.
right now.
Hot news is I tell them, I was like, this is what the program is, but like any business outside of you buying a home, you need to be very careful with who you give equity. I don't start Nike doesn't just give you 20% equity in their company, like,
Right.
because that is because your growth, they get paid based on your growth, and that is extremely detrimental to your future to give away that much equity to somebody. So
Right.
if you have to use that loan, cool. But and I even said, you saw my reels, like I personally wouldn't use it, and I
Yeah.
tell my clients that like I wouldn't use it, but I can see how a small fraction of the people could see it's beneficial. But in my eyes, my personal opinion, I would never use it, and I can't
Right.
advise you to use something that I wouldn't use.
Well, and I think in the real estate industry, there's kind of a toxic culture of like everyone needs to be buying right now. And it's like, yes, of course I believe everyone should be investing in real estate if you're able to. And not everyone is able to right now, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's setting yourself on a plan, seeing what your finances look like on paper, and maybe if you have to pay off this much debt or make this much more money each month, maybe you get a side gig. Like at least seeing it so that you know what direction you're heading. That's what I preach. Not like
100%.
everyone needs to buy right now. It's no, let's figure out your situation and see when the right time for you to buy is. If it is right now, great. Let's help you out. Let's find a strategy. Let's hear your wants and your needs. But if not,
But
then
you have to be able to tell them no. Like,
right.
and that's
And
like you
that is
said.
like the with lending, like that's a lot. I have to be the bearer of bad news sometimes, but it's also I always try to empower people, like even if it is like you're not qualified. I always say like you're not qualified right now, but here's what we can do. It's so great that you took the initiative to see what
Mhm,
finances look like because 90% of people don't. They just say, I want to buy, I'm going to do this, but they never actually take the action to do it. So even if
mhm.
you're not qualified, you're still a step ahead of most people.
And that's what I tell people, like the because, and this is the thing I preach to all these other agents too, is that sometimes we get very myopic, like we're in the industry, so the worst lender, the worst realtor, whatever, buys and sells more homes than the average person.
Right.
So sometimes we get this myopic view and we forget like what people go through. They don't understand debt to income. They don't understand credit repair. They don't understand that stuff. And but the other flip side scary thing, if they go to a lender outside of you, someone that cares about their actual finances, someone's going to push them or fudge some paperwork, get them into a shitty situation. But like you said, it's not just a toxic environment in the real estate industry. It's that commission breath, right? Like you said,
Yeah.
pushing people to buy, right? And I roast people on social media all the time for this, but it's like it can't be a great time to buy and sell at the same time. It,
No.
it's they're mutually exclusive.
Yeah.
So what I preach, and sometimes it works sometimes, but remember sometimes people don't want to hear the facts. Is that real estate is situational,
Yeah.
finances is situational. It might be a great time to buy for you right now, but it might not be a great time for someone else that's not in the same position, and that's okay.
Well, and we're in a unique time in the market where it's like some properties, some areas, it is better for the seller. In some properties, some areas, it's better for the buyer just because we're seeing both high rates, but then it's also competitive because of low inventory. So then that brings the demand with the selling side. So it's just, it's educating people on that where it's like, it's really going to depend on what property you're looking at. Like, even in
Exactly.
terms of like temporary buy downs are big right now because interest rates are high. So that's a strategy we can use to lower the
But
interest rate.
only in certain areas. You
But
come to
only in
Rancho
certain
Bernardo,
properties. Yeah. That
come
would
to
be
Rancho Bernardo, ask for a 3-2-1. They'll look at you like you're stupid. They're like, nope. Yeah, get out of here. Go back down
but
south.
I just had a buyer buy in Mission Valley that they did it. So it's just like interesting how it's totally it's just interesting how it's totally different per property.
Oh, 100%. And that's another thing with the shady advertising and stuff like that. One of the things I roast realtors and lenders for this all the time. The just close, like no one gives a shit. Or B, they'll get on there and be like, yeah, we just got 3-2-1 buy down, this much closing, all that. B situation, like Brietta was good when she did hers. She literally did the steps of what it was and is a strategy, and it's not for everywhere. But you'd be surprised some of these ads and people put out there is like, yeah, I got $30,000 back. Like, oh, come to Rancho Bernardo and try to get $30,000 back.
Yeah.
Like,
It's like
stupid.
talk about the sacrifices that the buyer had to maybe make to get that deal. Like maybe they went for a property that is more rundown and needs some TLC to fix it up, but they're in a 3.75% interest rate for the first year. So it's just give and take, like what, again, listening to wants and needs and what's really important and what we can maybe sacrifice to get a better deal.
And I think, and it's also framing your relationship, right? Like realtors and lenders often get into this customer service, like I'm here to serve your food or whatever kind of mentality. But no, I'm your advisor, and I'm gonna tell you that's freaking dumb. Like
Yeah.
you're not gonna get the Taj Mahal for $350,000. Like you're gonna want a 3-2-1 buy
Oh,
down.
you
We're
want
gonna
a
have to
house on the beach in San Diego for under 500K?
yeah. You want to spend you want a $2,000 mortgage and live in PB on the beach? Get come on.
Yeah.
But that's the role that we have to play, and too often, most realtors don't do that. They're just like, oh yeah, well, sure, man. Like kind of like car sales. I'm like, sure, we can find a way to make it work for you. He's like, no, we can't. It's not going to work. If you want a 3-2-1 buy down, it's not going to be a freshly on the market, beautiful home. Because think about it competitively. Everybody and their mom wants that new home. There's no inventory. So if we go on 3-2-1,
there's no
or 2-1,
initiative for the seller to give that to you because they have a whole list of people that's willing to buy it without that.
And what I always tell them, put yourself in the seller's position if you're a buyer. Like I'm so excited. Every seller same way. Buyers are unreasonable, sellers are unreasonable too. My little piece of shit is worth millions of dollars, and it's 600,000. And you put it on the market, you're all excited and motivated, and the first offer you get is a lowball offer, 3-2-1 buy, whatever. You're like, no, screw that, man. I'm gonna wait. And when I tell this to clients and I tell them to put themselves in the seller's position, they're like, oh yeah, I wouldn't accept that. I'd want to see what else I get. Exactly. Right. That's why we wait for a little bit if you want to do this shady shit and do a 3-2-1 buy down or any of these, strategic, purchase agreements. You have to wait. There has to be criteria met.
Totally. And I think realtors that are experienced in the market that they're in and they know and they've been doing deals and they know kind of like I know you, if there was an offer, if you were putting in an offer on a Rancho Bernardo property, like if someone wanted to even try to negotiate that, you would be like, no, that would offend them. Like, like we're not even going to put that in.
Oh, I told a client the other day. So in RB here, especially the 92127 side, everything's been going like 100, 150,000. We got beat out on on an offer that was $180,000 over, and we got beat out. Like it's ridiculous. And so then the next home they wanted to put like a under asking on it. I was like, no, I'm not. I don't want to kill any more trees, even though it's all DocuSign. I was like, I want to save some trees and
I want to save some energy.
save some energy, everything. But I think that's once again back to business is like that's important when you frame a relationship. When you meet a client, all that. I don't pull any punches ever, but some people like that. And when you do your marketing to like, oh yeah, whatever you need, I got you. It's like, no, you're an advisor. When you go to a stockbroker or a lawyer or a doctor or whatever, they're not there to like just please you. They're there to advise you.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's a hard conversation that you don't want to have. Like, no, man, that's stupid.
We're in the position of telling people things that they don't know. And so again, it's like, and same with doctors and things like that. Like, we're there so that they can tell us information that we can't figure out on our own. Same with
Exactly.
real estate professionals. Like, people are trusting us to show and make decisions and advocate for them on their behalf because they weren't educated or experienced like we are.
Exactly. And but that's and that's I mean it's all full circle with this whole NAR lawsuit, but
Yeah.
because agents don't do that, take the advisory role because they're scared for trying to get their commission and they're trying to do whatever, close this person, you're not being an advisor, a trusted advisor. An attorney is going to tell you, no man, you're screwed, we need to plead out. But for whatever reason, society in their head knows they can't do what the attorney does. But we've had so many shitty real estate professionals that society thinks that the value we provide isn't worth what we're being paid. And granted, it's it's situational based. Like I've never had a client tell me I got paid too much, but obviously, if
It's
this is
like a
happening,
general society view.
gross accountability. That's the thing that I preach is gross accountability. For some reason, people think that they can do our jobs better than us and that we're not valued. So whatever is going on in the real estate industry, we're not providing enough value to where they think that they could do it themselves and deal with the headache themselves. You don't see them. You don't see people. For sale by owner. They don't see like represent yourself in law. Like no, hell, I can't do that. I can't give myself a boob job. I can't.
Right?
They know they can't do that.
You
But for
can?
us, like, right. But for us, they think they can,
Yeah.
and that only person's fault is ours.
Yeah.
And I'm tired of hearing realtors going here like, "Oh, I know my worth." Shut up. No, you don't.
Yeah.
What's your worth?
Yeah.
What is
Let's
your whole
hear it
worth?
then.
Yeah, yeah. What is your value proposition? Oh, I have a strategic marketing plan. First of all, spell strategic. Second of all, what's a SWOT analysis? Get out
Yeah.
of here, man.
Well, even
Stupid.
so, my mom and stepdad, they just sold their house in San Diego and they moved and bought a house in South Carolina. And I'm like, but she said that they went through about 15 realtors out there and didn't like any of them because they all weren't listening. Like, they were telling them what they wanted, what areas they liked, the type of home that they wanted. And she said literally like 15 agents were sending them properties completely not relevant, like providing zero value. And the agent that they ended up working with, it was because he went out of his way to talk to contractors, hear about the developments that are being built in the area, and he ended up getting them a new build and it checked all their boxes. So it's like, again,
Perfect.
he was providing value and making himself stand out, where so many agents just, oh, they meet someone, plug them into their CRM, and that's their value. But
Exactly. And that's the good segue to what we were talking about earlier. Interview multiple agents.
yes.
Do not just go. It's like some crazy statistic that 80% of people go with the first realtor that they meet, and that is freaking asinine. Like you're gonna go drive the first. You're gonna buy the first car you ever drove. What if it's a Pinto? Like,
You're gonna marry
oh,
the first person you date?
hell no. Absolutely not. I get a test drive. You know what I mean? Like, come
Yeah.
on. And that's great. But people do it in real estate when they're buying the largest. And then there's this trickle down effect. You meet the first shady realtor that you met on Zillow, and then they obviously introduce you some
Zillow.
shady lender, and it just goes down this line of just shitty experience. When
Yeah.
all you need to do is interview multiple ones and see, and you'll see. And I tell people all this time, and this is when I'm talking like people outside the state or whatever. It's like when you interview a good realtor, you'll feel it. When you interview a bad one, you'll feel the hair will stand on the back of your neck, like, oh, this person shady.
You'll
Like
get
this is
the ick.
the ick, yeah, the cringe, like, that dude, he felt like he smelled like a bunch of Aquadigio and
Yeah.
wearing some some weird freaking Nick Airs. They weren't even Nikes. Like, what are you doing, man?
Nick
Like,
Harris.
but it's
Yeah,
shady.
it's so true. And even, I mean, aside from experience, value add, even what they currently do, like the best realtors, in my opinion, invest in real estate themselves too. Like, they own their property, they've been through the process, they put their money where their mouth is. Like, and yeah, it's just crazy. It's so crazy how many, but interviewing people and then also figuring out their personality, because that's a big part of it. You're going to spend a lot of time with your realtor, especially if it's a good one. They're showing you things, you're talking on the phone with them all the time. You want to make sure that you click.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Then I set that ground day one. I'm like,
Yeah.
this is who you got to deal with. But at the end of the day, I tell people all the time, and I think it was a Nike CEO or someone said, or no, it was Steve Jobs. You don't surround yourself with yes men as a CEO. You don't surround and people, sorry, new age,
Yeah.
women, men, but you don't surround yourself with people that just always agree with you, because then it's not helping you. And I'm not going to be that person. If you have a good idea as a buyer or seller, I'm like, great, this is phenomenal. Let's go this way. If you say something stupid, I'm like, no, that's dumb. And you
Yeah.
don't know what. You want someone to tell you what you want to hear? Go hire somebody else, and you'll lose 50, 100 grand.
Yeah.
Go
Go with
ahead.
the Zillow
But I will tell
agent.
you. Yeah, exactly. And I think having that, and another thing that we kind of passed over real quick is being educated. Like having your AA is huge. You'd be
Yeah.
surprised how many people in our industry are uneducated. And it's like it's not the fact that education makes you smarter by any means. I have a master's degree. It doesn't make you smarter, but it teaches you how to do research, how to have perseverance and get through something, how to get to yes and find answers
Yeah,
and
it's
do that.
critical thinking is what it is. It teaches
Exactly.
you critical thinking, and it just adds to your resume, really, of who you are as a person.
Exactly. I was like trying to do like a statistic of how many realtors are educated or real estate professionals. I think it's a fraction of a percent, which is
Yeah.
scary. Whereas if you're a CPA, you have to have a degree. You get in your Series 6, Series. I don't think you need a degree for that one. But
You don't need a
most
degree, but you need a license.
exactly. But that's the thing. I'm a firm proponent for the real estate industry that the barriers of entry to get your license needs to be higher. We
Yeah.
are facilitating the largest investment of most people's lives, and we get these people that are barely past high school becoming real estate agents and loan officers. Like, no. You go back to McDonald's, my guy.
Yeah. Go to
Speaking
community
of,
college.
yeah, go. But that's the thing. It doesn't matter if it's community. I don't expect you to go to Harvard. I don't expect you to do anything. But get educated. Like, take the time to learn how to learn, how to do critical thinking,
Yeah.
research, how to produce results on a timeline, which is all schools, time management, getting
The timeline is a huge one.
exactly.
Learning
And
that, learning like even planning for things, right? Like maybe like not being a procrastinator or yeah.
budgeting your time out, like having time blocks for stuff.
Yeah.
And in our industry, timeline you have contractual timelines, and
Yeah.
it's crazy how people don't
It's
respond to phone calls,
yeah.
meet at contractual deadlines. It's like, bro, you knew this for last 15 days. Like, how are you not figuring this out?
Right.
Well,
Or
I've been
why,
in the
or
industry for 20
even
years.
communication. Like, why wasn't, like, if we've known the timelines there, why hasn't there been earlier communication of maybe this needs to be renegotiated or maybe, like, just to make sure all parties involved know what's going on. That's something that I really like to do is when I'm in a transaction, not only am I communicating with the buyer and the agent on their side, but I'm also communicating with the sell side so that they know what's going on in terms of financing so that their clients have peace of mind because it's also a big transaction for them.
Same sheet of music, as we say in the military. So the fact that some of these realtors and their TCs or whatever, they
Yeah.
don't CC everybody. It's like, why would you not keep everybody on the same
On the
page?
same page.
So then that's one of the things, sadly, that we have is one of the 5 pillars for my sales process for selling a
Yeah.
home is number one is communication. In the military, the number one thing that will stop operation is loss of comms or loss of communication. And yet in the real estate industry, we don't implement basic business stuff. So you think business etiquette. So if I'm like, hey, Randa, I really want to see this home, and you take an hour to respond to me that I want to see it, and then you reach out to the realtor that takes 2 to 3 hours to even say like, hey, I got it. Then they have to ask the seller to see if it's okay for me to go see it. All of a sudden now it's a
Right.
day and a half, 2 days before I get to go see the home.
And now
And
there's 20 offers on that property.
20 offers, or even screw that. It's like my motivation just went down the
Right.
drain.
Like you were all
I really
excited.
wanted it. Now 3 days later, like I'm like, oh yeah, I'm done with that.
Yeah.
And I try to articulate that to sellers is that the process. And the same thing with loans. It's the process. Don't fixate over rates and all this stuff. The best rates that get offered by Rocket Mortgage and all this stuff don't matter because you're not going to be able to use them because their process sucks.
Right.
You want someone that can close on time because if you don't, yeah, let me offer you a 3% interest rate. You'll never use it. You'll never close. They're not going to cross qualify. They're not going to meet the contractual deadlines. You're going to have a 45-day escrow that no one's
Yeah.
going to want. So what's the point of even having a low rate?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah. It all ends up like it gets pushed back anyway. Or sometimes when things like that happen, you lose the deal too. Like, yeah, you
Always.
might get lucky where the sell side's understanding, but if they're not, or if they have a backup offer,
That's why I told my clients, I was like, if it's under 2 million, do not use a bank. Do not use Navy Fed, Wells Fargo, any of those banks because it just moves too fast and no one's going to want to accept that because think about it, under 2 million, if you're over 2 million, it's a second home, they have multiple homes, they have enough money, they don't care.
yeah,
It's a longer escrow, a longer time on the market, it doesn't care. But below that, it's people like, hey, we need to sell our home to buy this next home, so we need to get our money fast, and it's just a much faster transaction. And
yeah,
people don't want to hear that. They're like,
yeah,
well, I'm so comfortable with my bank and Navy Fed. Screw Navy Fed. I'm military. I say it. Screw Navy Fed. Like, what? You're gonna lose every single transaction if you use Navy Fed. It's not
yeah.
gonna happen.
Well, because it's
Not gonna
also
happen.
like if there is anything that like needs to be worked on or communicated or goes wrong or you have questions, like I'm available until I go to sleep. Basically, like
Exactly.
where if you go with Wells Fargo or Navy Fed or any of those bigger banks, like it's just such a less personalized experience too, and it's such a big life-changing transaction that you want it to be personal. You want it to
100%.
be personalized to your situation and to accommodate your time schedule or your communication preference, whether it's text message or email or phone call. I'll FaceTime you, like whatever,
Yeah.
so
And a little tidbit that I tell them is like when you work with a commercial bank, that loan officer works for the bank. When
yeah,
they work
they're an
with
employee.
Randa works for you.
Yeah.
And she's her sole compensation is based on the success of you buying a home.
Yeah.
That loan officer at the bank, they don't give a shit. They're on salary. If you
No.
close, you don't close. I don't
Well,
care.
and I think it really does speak volumes too, because it is like those loan officers at those bigger banks, they just got fed, like you just got fed to them. Like
Hmm.
they didn't have to prove their value or show their education or their expertise or anything. They're
No rapport. There's
no
no rapport.
rapport. And so I
You're
think
just a
that,
name on a list.
right. So even it's like, even if I didn't personally meet you, if you were referred to me through an agent or maybe a past client of mine or whatever, there was still that rapport that was built with somebody that they trust me or you enough to throw our names out there.
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. You want someone their pay and everything to be tied into your success.
Experience. Yeah.
Exactly. So like I don't want someone to just get paid kind of like the NAR settlement attorneys. They got paid 145 million dollars for this settlement.
Yeah.
They're based on their outcome. It wasn't hourly. They got paid based off winning this case.
Yeah.
And the same thing you want from your lender or your realtor is that if I'm just getting paid hourly from you, I don't give a shit how fast your home closes. I don't give a shit if you even buy a house because you're still going to pay me for all the time. But
Yeah.
when you have someone that's invested in your outcome that you want, you're aligned. It's business partners. Like
Common goal.
it's a common goal, and we're aligned as business partners because you want to get to this end state of buying this investment. I want to get you there by with my knowledge and with being able to. Obviously, we buy and sell more homes than you do, so we will lead you there. So you
Yeah.
are sacrificing 2-3% to hire my expertise to get you to that route. And that's what you want. You want someone that's tied to the common goal.
Yeah.
Otherwise, imagine if they go to hourly. I'll be like, yeah, man, let's just put your house on the market. We'll just sit by.
Well,
Let's
there's
six,
no
nine
skin
months.
in the game if that, like, there's nothing, because
Nothing.
even from my perspective, like, okay, let's say you have a client and you refer them to me. not only am I building that rapport with the client, but I'm also building it with you. So I have multiple people that I'm trying to, like, we all have a common goal, and I'm trying to make it a good experience for all parties involved. Where if it's a bigger bank, they don't care if they lose a relationship or any
No.
of that.
That's what I say. Like banks, they don't make most of their money from mortgages. It's just another small revenue stream. They have so many other loans and stuff that,
Credit
fractional
cards right
banking,
now.
credit
Sheesh.
cards, all that shit. They don't give a shit about your mortgage, man. You're a speck of sand on the beach. Like
Yeah.
they don't give a shit. And I think people need to internalize that, but they feel so comfortable. And I'm like, all right, if you want to refinance with your bank when it's on your own time, go do it. But when you're buying a home, make sure you have someone that's locked in step with you,
Yeah.
and make sure you're doing all that. Speaking of locked in step, before I get sidetracked, so let's talk about this new Zillow touring agreement.
I'm like,
I'm
you're
excited.
excited about it.
I think it's awesome. I was crying, laughing. It was one of the most triggering posts that I've done. Like I've never seen so many people so triggered by a post. Like, oh, that's so jacked up. I mean, for those that don't follow me on Instagram, I put the touring agreement. And a guy crying, saying, no, 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 wait. Zillow officially turned realtors into door openers. Triggered. Triggered. No.
They're just playing into what everyone's been saying, right?
Oh my god! It was funny too. My uncle asked me this like a couple months ago. He's like, "Ian, you talk a lot of shit." He's like, "Does anybody ever like step up or act crazy?" He was like, "No, I touch like 1 million people a month, like more than that, a couple million people a month, and you're gonna everything I do is based on the consumer. So if
Yeah.
you're that dickhead that's like, no, that's jacked up. I deserve to get paid more. You just got labeled as that piece of shit."
If the shoe fits.
The shoe fit. The glove fits. You can't acquit. Like, but I think so. For people that don't know what this new touring agreement is, after all these NAR settlements and stuff like that, basically you can't show a house without an agreement, right? Whether it's a buyer's representation agreement or Zillow coming out with this, touring agreement, which is a non-exclusive agreement. Basically, I met you. We're in a non-agreement. I can show you a house for 7 days. So I think it's going to be good I think it's going to tell people. It's going to make people not just use the first realtor that they meet.
Well, again, it goes back to interviewing, right? Multiple people. And
Yeah.
hopefully, like, if it's a bad experience with that Zillow agent within those 7 days, or if they feel like they're not getting value, it's going to make people, like, these agents that use Zillow to try to get business, they're going to have to prove their value. And if they aren't more than just a door opener, then hopefully that client interviews multiple people and finds you.
I'm acquired taste. But because honestly, what your parents did, that's not common, right? Your parents obviously have you to advise them, but most people, they don't shop around. They're like, oh, well, I met Tom, Dick, and Harry, and that's the real estate group I'm going to use. It's like, no, fire them. Like, they suck, fire them. Have a comparison. A fish doesn't know it's in water until it gets exposed to air.
Right.
So if you have multiple realtors talking to you, and then you're like, oh, okay. So I think that this touring agreement is going to give an operational pause to people and be like, this guy kind of sucks. It's going to force realtors to actually figure out what their core values and their core competencies are. Like you said, that one guy that your parents use actually did the work, did all that. So instead of just sending, what these real estate teams do is they get on the Zillow Premier Agent or whatever the other one is, Flex.
Yeah.
And they just send a bunch of junior guys out there, girls, everybody out there to go buyer's agents, and it's gonna suck. So I think another one that's just came out too is that Zillow's canceling that whole Premier Agent thing.
Oh.
Switching just to Flex.
Okay.
Because think about it, right? You're paying $2,000 a month, whatever. That doesn't reflect the commission that you're making. It might be $1 million house, it might be a $500,000 house. Right. But with Zillow Flex,
you pay per deal.
Zillow owns the agent too. It's like 37%. So these people are paying 37%, whatever, to their team. So they're basically like probably 60% to their brokerage and Zillow, 40% to themselves. So now I got to work twice as hard to eat the same as someone that does business the right way.
Yeah.
And which way do you feel like is more transactional? The one that's just trying to get a bunch of transactions, or the one that can actually invest time in you because he did business right?
Well, and when, again, it's like if you're providing value and your work for your client is equal to that commission, like that's when it's fair. And if you have a bigger paycheck, like for me, I get paid based on the loan amount, right? But
Mm-hmm.
it's like if I'm having a paycheck at the end of that, that's a percentage of that. I'm going to work hard for that because I want that pay. If it was half of that pay, maybe I wouldn't work as hard. Or like you said, I'd be trying to get more. And so my time is being divided between so many different deals. So it's just, yeah,
And it's like kind of like we talked about real estate in the real estate industry. That most people are terrible business owners.
right.
Like at the end of the day, I can provide you more value than this transactional Zillow guy person because I run my business leaner, so I pay for your home inspection because I can. A, it's a write off for my
Right.
business, and
Yeah.
B, it just makes it easier for you.
Yeah.
If I was spending 60% of my revenue just to some team leader who doesn't even show up, and then the rest to Zillow, my true daddy, I have nothing left to give. I'm just an employee at that point, and
Right.
there's no ability for me to help you out because I'm struggling. I'm underwater. Every single transaction, I'm living commission to commission, and that's why I have commission breath. So I'm happy Zillow's potentially going to go away. I think it's going to be let with the buyers with the touring agreement, and now switching to Flex. I'm hoping that it changes the dynamic because maybe it's conspiracy theories. Zillow skated out of this whole NAR settlement,
Oh,
but
yeah.
I think they're a prime stakeholder in this
Oh,
this view of people thinking that, oh, realtors and lenders aren't shit. Like we don't we don't need them. They're all slimy. You create a transactional industry and people start getting treated like transactions. When you go into Walmart, you know what you're gonna get.
yeah.
But now all of a sudden you got all these teams and like big teams that are on billboards and stuff, and then you get in business with them, and you're like, oh
Yeah.
God, this is terrible. They didn't call me back.
Or it's like these team leads build a brand, which like great for them. They've built a great brand, and maybe the team lead themselves are a great agent, but it's like you see these billboards and you think you're working with that person, and then they send their buyer's agents that aren't experienced, they're brand new, they're 18 years old. Like, not no shade, you can be a good
Yeah.
agent at 18 years old, but it's just generally
All shade. No, you can't. What? I started at
like
20. I
generally
was terrible. What? What? The first couple, I started at W Real Estate up in North, and thank God we had this. Like, this is 2009 years ago,
yeah.
and we had this TC before they were called TCs. She was like a 25-year veteran. I know her name to this name, Shelly. She literally would walk me through the transaction because had no idea what was going on like at
Yeah.
20. You've never bought a home, you've never done any of that.
Which, like,
No,
given everyone has to start somewhere, so it's
facts,
like,
facts.
but yeah, if you're someone that's like complaining about agents not doing a good job, then you need to be with someone that's experienced and that can actually walk you through.
And that business model for that billboard agent, or once again, this goes back to being a good agent versus business owner. You can be a great realtor, you can be a great attorney, doctor, whatever. Doesn't mean you're gonna do a great job running a business.
Right.
And when you get that person, little, Timmy, that shows up to do all that, like that's a bad experience. And but once again, the business model, and this I'm actually doing a whole video on this. People need to understand there's different business models in real estate. There's
Oh,
like
yeah.
luxury people where it's a concierge service like Jason Barry, and then there's the Redfin model where it's all about transactions, or like the Walmart model. Walmart doesn't mark up each one of its products. It's based on volume. And a lot of these teams that you see, it's based on turnover. They
Yep.
don't care if they keep you, they don't care about your referrals. They're just trying to close as many people as they can.
Well, and I
And as
think
a
it's important
person, it's bad.
too. I think it's important too. Like, there's some really big teams that aren't focused on helping clients. They're focused on bringing in realtors to their team because they're making commission off of those realtors. So it's like knowing
The
where,
downline.
yeah, knowing where your realtor's values are and what they're working towards and what their goals are. Like if their goals are like a volume number or helping a certain amount of people or getting a certain amount of families into homes, things like that, that's a clear sign that they're focused on the transaction. Where if their goal is, oh, I want to add 5 agents to my team,
Another
their
plug.
their goals
That's
aren't
another
aligned with
plug.
your goals, you know?
That's another plug. So I'm doing another another video on questions you should ask your realtor because everybody asks the same shit. Like, how much can I
I
sell
was
my
going to
home
actually
for?
ask you this literally like right now of what questions you feel like people should be asking when they're interviewing realtors.
God, you're gonna kill foreshadow my video, but screw it. It's Randa. I
Okay.
love you. I'll do it. No, I don't care. So number one, when a realtor asks you for proof of funds, ask them for proof of funds.
That's fair.
Nothing will show you more of how where their mindset is than their bank account. If their bank account says -$2, you know they're not advising you based off your best interest. They're
Yeah.
advising you based because they're hungry.
Yeah.
And at least you, and if you want to move, work with them because you feel bad, but at least you know they're not
You feel
advising
bad.
you. Like, I get
This guy
why
really
not?
needs some money. I'll work with him.
Oh, exactly, exactly. Another one, because people ask the same questions. I'm like, don't ask. There's so many like training, and you know how I feel about masterminds. There's so many of these like cold calling stuffs, and even these junior 18-year-olds practice this shit, and they practice overcoming these objections. So I always tell my clients like, ask off the wall shit that they're not expecting.
Out of the
How much
box
can I sell my
question.
home for? What's the best areas? All they know that. Let me see your proof of funds. When someone says they have a strategic marketing plan to do your house, ask them what a SWOT analysis is. The baseline of any, and so I've only done 3 or 2 strategic marketing plans in my freaking life in college, and the smallest one was 85 pages. I guarantee you, these illiterate, uneducated realtors can't even spell strategic.
Yeah.
So what a SWOT analysis is for baseline for every strategic marketing plan. It's called strength, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. So it's basically internal strengths and weaknesses, opportunity and threats is external. Guaranteed they have no idea what any of that shit is. So
Yeah.
why would you do the next one? If you meet somebody and they don't look anything like their branding, why would you would you date someone that catfished you? No.
Right.
Then
Literal
don't work with them.
catfish. That is so true. Because that's just a clear sign that they're not either not up to date, which means they're probably not super organized or like their business isn't top of mind. Because your brand is everything. Like
Oh, 100%.
especially as a business owner, especially in real estate, because we are a people business. If that's not in line with who you are and it's not a true transparent reflection, yeah.
You're starting on a lie. You're
Yeah.
starting on a lie. And I tell clients this all the time, especially when they're hitting me up from like Virginia, because I have military clients and friends everywhere. And I'm like, if you start the relationship on a lie, why would you trust this person to do the biggest transaction of your life?
Right.
And they're not talking exactly. I think the second to last one, so I'm gonna spill all of them because ruin my video.
Hey, it's
Is if
good to
they
hear the information twice. You know what I mean?
yeah, right. Sound springboard. Like, not Ian, that's dumb. Is ask them if they've bought a home before. Have they sold a home before? Have they been a landlord? Because sometimes it's easy, like in college, like it's easy for me to report on my strategic marketing plan. My strategic marketing plan for Tesla back in 2019. It's harder to implement it if I haven't been there, and all you know, the soft issues that you don't see, like the people involved and the emotions and stuff like that. If you haven't done it, it's hard to understand if you're not an empathetic person. Like, it's a scary time.
Oh
You're
yeah.
going to get hit up as soon as you buy a home. Within 30 days, you're going to get blown up with all these
Spam
people
mail. Oh yeah.
offering you rates. And I'm like, and I'm a realtor, and they're still offering me. I'm like, bro, stop. Like,
Yeah.
and it's a scary position to be in. And it will help. I tell people it will help them understand more, especially on the real estate side, if someone's done it themselves.
Yeah.
Because
100.
otherwise, what are you gonna
And
do?
I think too, like whether you're on lending or a realtor or whatever, you're only seeing one avenue. So like all of the disclosures that I send out, I'm only seeing that. You're only seeing the contract disclosures or buying whatever you send out. But when you're the client, you're getting all of that.
Everything.
Yeah. So
All of
it's
it.
like, even from that perspective of knowing all of the emails that they receive, all the documents you have to sign, seeing all these numbers, like I know on the loan side, the numbers kind of will change as it goes on. Like your initial loan estimate will be like a general idea, and then it gets dialed in as it goes. So even knowing that,
That rates change in the middle of escrow. All of a sudden, now you're not pre-approved anymore. Like,
well, hopefully you're locked into your rate when you're in the middle of escrow. But
that was, I had this one client. She was like trying to play like the and this is lender advice. She was like trying to play the rate lock game. Like, hopefully it goes. I tell all my clients, just lock it. Yes, there's a chance it could go down. Cool, but there's also a bigger chance it can go up.
well,
One
and
in the hand is worth two in the bush.
yeah,
Finance 101.
yeah,
No, so literally, just you just
know.
find it. Oh, one in the hand is worth two in the bush.
yeah.
And that's not what she said. That's not what she said. What, you trying to get me?
I was waiting for it.
But instead of waiting for potentially what can happen and maybe the rates go down, you 100% know what your rate is now. If it goes down in 6-9 months, whatever, you can always refinance.
Yeah.
But if it goes up, you can possibly lose this transaction.
Well, and
not worth it.
even that's where it's beneficial to know what your lender offers too, because for me and the company that I'm with, we offer a float down policy. So
Nice.
if we lock you in, and if in the middle of escrow rates drop below 0.25%, so by 0.25%, we'll float you down. So it's like, even knowing that and asking your lender that question, like, okay, if I'm locked in, what if rates come down? Can I move that? That's an important question to know too, because then it protects you if rates go up. But
This is what people need to
off
learn. People need to understand this. Like, that's not a common thing that a lot of banks do.
Yeah.
A. B, people don't understand that, because so instead of, which is going to save you guys a ton of business too, because what happens when you're buying a home, right? You get all excited that you're going to look for a home. You get pre-approved by Randa, and you get kicked in the dick because you're not approved for as much as you think. You're like, ugh. And then all the homes that you're looking at Zillow, you're like, oh, I can't afford those. So what do? Immediately start rate shopping.
Yeah.
And like, oh, well, Rocket Mortgage things. No. With that float down, it's we're going to tackle that rate shopping bullshit first. That with that buy down or that float down, that covers down on a lot of their insecurities, and they'll make them feel a lot safer. And to the freaking rate shoppers, people need to realize that these lenders owe you nothing until you actually fill out documentation.
Yeah.
They could tell you get a 2% rate. They have no fiduciary obligation to you.
No.
So
Or even
stop chasing it.
disclosing wise, like they don't need, like we could say, because they might be quoting you best case scenario, but they're not quoting you for your scenario. So when I have people that I've pre-approved and they're rate shopping and they're like, oh, well, this lender said that they can do this. I say, do they know about your student loans? And they're like, no.
No.
And I'm like, okay, well, that will change the second that they see that.
And maybe this goes back to the education piece, but I don't think people understand there's not as much leeway in lending as people think.
No, people essentially kind of have the same pool of stuff. I mean,
exactly.
There's slight differences, or if you're a smaller company, like we can make exceptions or get concessions, or like we have our own in-house funding, so there's different things we can do. But generally,
but even that is not dramatically different.
Yeah, I'm like, generally, it's all from the same pot.
Exactly, and people don't realize after the Dodd-Frank Act in 2009, banks don't have that. There's so many legal steps that they have to go through. Guidelines, like you can't a fraction of a percent difference, even a quarter percent from a commercial bank who gives you that because they know they suck and they need to get to that, versus a quarter percent difference doesn't change your mortgage that much.
No.
And people need to realize like
maybe $25.
Yeah, and they think that like, oh, all of a sudden you think you're the person that found the golden ticket. They know that you're looking in emotional right now. They can't give you that.
Right.
But you're falling trapped to them because they are offering the same rates Randa is. There's no difference. And I think people need to figure it out. Like, rates don't matter. They're going to be what they are.
That's always what I tell people that I focus on is like, let's talk about just your monthly budget. Let's just talk about that. And then we'll find something that fits within those parameters. But the interest rate, I mean, it's so crazy to me because I guarantee no one could tell me what interest rate their car loan is at. No one could tell me what interest rate their credit cards are at. But then when it comes to mortgages, it's like all that's talked about. And it's like, no, you just do what fits into your financial situation. If you want to buy, that's how it goes. And to your point too, I have a whole home buying guide that I go through my clients and I teach them about things that affect their interest rate. So if you're buying a condo versus a single family house versus a multi-unit, that rate is going to be different across the board. If you're putting a lower down payment or you have a lower credit score or any of those things is going to affect it. And I make it very clear, if you are going to rate shop me, that's fine. You have that freedom to do so. But make sure that all of the numbers that we're plugging in to give you that number or those discount points or the pricing for that rate, make sure it's the same. We need to be comparing apples to apples, oranges to oranges, because there's so many times that it's totally
Hell no.
different.
We're in escrow. You ain't rate shopping. You can do that shit after
Not
the
in
house
escrow,
closes.
not in escrow,
Ah,
but
I
I
was
mean
like,
before that. I'm like, and to make sure that you're being quoted on the same day even. Like there's so many times people will be like, "Oh, this lender quoted me this." And I'm like, "When was that?" And they're like, "2 weeks ago." And I'm like, "Rates are completely
rates
different
change.
today." Like
Yeah. And I think that's what, and I try to articulate this to a lot of realtors that they always say like, oh, well, that's the lender's job. It's not. At the end of the day, back in the day, you to be a lender, all you had to do was have a real estate license. And
right.
today, these agents don't understand any of the mortgage side, any of that stuff. But at the end of the day, it's the realtor is the coach of the team, and the lender is the quarterback. If you
Yeah.
don't know what the quarterback is doing, you're gonna look like an idiot when the owner asks you, the coach, like, "Hey, what is Tom Brady doing?" That's the quarterback stuff. No, fool, you're the coach. What is
Yeah.
going on?
Yeah.
And I think exemplifying that relationship, and that's what I hold true on my transactions, is like they're going. We naturally have more rapport with the client because obviously
Yeah.
they see us all the time and all that kind of stuff. They're going to bounce back and ask questions to us like, "Oh, well, I'm looking at this bank and this bank." No, stop. You got pre-approved, Randa. You'll be all right. By all means, you can rate shop. Just go and ask her, and she will alleviate any of the misconceptions and all the slime ball cringy shit that these lenders do. Because
Yep.
what you're going to do, and once again, my job is to advise you based on your best financial interests. And if you do this rate shopping, you're going to screw yourself up more than anything.
Yeah.
Don't do it. If you
Yeah.
want to do it in 6 months for a 1/4%, do it in 6 months, man. Like, don't
Right.
care. But we're
Right.
here now. She has all your documentation. Now you're going to try to go through and change it up. Relax. You have not found the golden ticket because everybody would do the same thing you did.
Yep.
These banks know that you're emotional and ignorant right now, and they're trying to go after you.
Yeah.
But see, I established that relationship with my clients. We're like, nope, stop it, stupid.
Yeah.
Get back, get your ass off the
Love
phone,
right
stop
there.
rich shopping. Yeah, so pause, like full pause, like
Yeah.
stop it. But that's why I think people need more education, and we spend kind of like you talk about the cars and your credit cards. People spend more time researching the car they want to buy than they do researching anything about real estate or the
Yeah.
process.
Totally.
They don't want to hear it. They
Yeah.
just don't want to hear it. But we need to do a book club for men since I feel like I'm misrepresented here. Men only. I feel like that's. I think there are men's clubs. I think there's strip clubs.
You need since the existence of time. Just kidding.
Oh man, well, that is awesome, and I've taken up hours some of your time. I appreciate you coming on here. In regards to her buyer's guide, check the description below. I'm just gonna have a link down there. Send me the link.
Yep.
And love you, appreciate you, and if anybody has any lending questions or anything, I totally vouch for Randa. She is a killer and one of the hardest workers I know. So I appreciate you, dude, and talk to you after this.
Yeah. We'll talk. We'll probably talk in 5 minutes.
All right, dude. Bye.
Cool. Bye.
All right, Collins Connection. Thanks again for watching. All of Randa's links and home buyers guide will be down in the description below. Tune in next week for another raw, uncut interview so you can get behind the scenes view what's going on in the real estate industry and a heads up of who you're going to work with before you work with them. But because YouTube's way smarter than me, it's saying that you're going to like this video right here. So check it out, and I'll see you next week.